to kind of help join the pieces. Financial aid feels like this big looming topic. We talk about money. It feels like it's a lot for people. So we have a couple topics. We're going to break it down. So first, let's talk about why it's important to review your financial aid. It's a living, breathing conversation piece. Much like your academic plan, it's a conversation piece that happens that you are having with your advisor on a regular basis. Your financial aid plan needs to be the same way. What is a stipend? That's always a great question that people ask. We also want to talk a little bit about your financial aid and your academic schedule, how the two relate to each other. When you're making changes and having conversations with your student success advisor, how does that impact your financial aid? When do all three of you need to come together to have this conversation? Another element we're going to talk about is your path to graduation. Graduation is wonderful. That is my favorite time. I don't know if any of my friends are here that have heard me say this sentence before. My goal, and Dave has watched me do this, is to lose my voice every year in May when you all walk across the stage. That is the best reason for me to lose my voice, because that means you did it. All those late nights, all those discussion boards, all those assignments, all those, oh my gosh, what am I reading? Am I doing this right? Holy smokes, do I have to take this class? And all those moments of, I did it, I got an A, I survived that class, payoff. So graduation is very important. And from a financial aid lens, that is something that we keep in the center of the conversation, because that's what we want to see from day one. How do we get you? From the financial aid department, how do we help get you there? How do we help maximize your federal student loans? If you are using the federal student loan program, there are ways you can maximize it and really position your financial aid, your schedule to maximize your financial aid. Let's talk about those pieces. Maintaining eligibility. There are a couple pieces that come with, if you're going to use some programs, we got to follow certain rules. What are those rules? How do we apply those rules? What do those rules look like? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And also, if you're using the federal student financial aid program, and if you have to step out of class. Look, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about life sometimes happens. There's moments to step out. I've had to do it. Other students here have had to do it. Look, life happens. Maybe it doesn't happen, but I want you to have the awareness of why it could happen and what we could have to discuss. So a lot of this is information. A lot of this I want you to hear and file it away of the, I might need to save this for later in case I need it. There's no quiz at the end. There's no assignment at the end. I promise you, I am not reading a 1,000-word essay in APA formatting for Professor Mariaco tonight. None of that's happening because no, we don't want to do that. But what I want you to do is I want you to walk away of going, in 6 months' time, oh, hey, I think I need to talk to someone about this. Know that there's a conversation around there. That's all I want you to walk away from. Sound like a plan? All right. So first, let's talk about reviewing your financial aid. So I talk about financial aid as a living, breathing thing because, well, you know what? I'm going to ask you this question. Are you in the same spot as you were in your life 6 months ago? Are you in the same spot as your life was 4 years ago? No, life changed, right? Life could change for a variety of reasons. So can your financial aid package. If you asked me where I was 10 years ago, I would tell you I was working for a nationwide retailer. That nationwide retailer would have given me different access to different types of education than my current role right now. So my financial aid package would have changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss different options. So first and foremost, who here on the call has looked for scholarships or even thought about scholarships? You can use the little reaction buttons. You can raise your hand. You can do smiley faces. You can chat. All right, Shadai, you've looked for scholarships. Awesome. Melissa has. Awesome. So there's a couple different options. We're going to start about this. So you can go on and look for yourself, or we can help guide you. On Post website, if you look at Post website, you'll actually go to tuition and financial aid, and you'll actually see a section here that says scholarship and other aid. When you click this, It will take you to a variety of different information. The important thing I want you to look at is this section right here, which is called Scholarships 360. Scholarships 360 is a third-party program that we work with that really finds vetted, relevant external scholarship opportunities for you to search through. So these are the groups that are looking for scholarships. We also have a scholarships team here at Post as well, so we can always connect you with that team. They are available to make that conversation and that connection. But when you log in and create your account, you want to use your Post student email, the one through your student portal. Alrighty. When you create that account, you can look through. Now, there are scholarships out there for a variety of walks of life. Single moms, second careers, left-handed individuals, first-time college participants, certain fields, certain GPA requirements. Take your time, look through. We're going to talk a little bit at the end about other do's and don'ts about scholarships, but I want you to take a look at this. I really strongly recommend look for it. Look, all it is just a little bit of a hustle and a whole bunch of essays, and you could win something, which is pretty awesome. Alrighty. Next is really talking about partnership discounts. So we have relationships. Post University has relationships with a variety of employers, alrighty, from all different sectors and industries that we have partnerships with. And we have a couple different types of partnerships. We have tuition discount partnerships. And then we also have what's called direct bill partnerships. So let's talk about this. Depending on the relationship we have with a different with different companies, we can have discounted tuition rates. Saving a couple bucks here. We like saving a couple bucks. I like saving a couple bucks. I love saving a couple bucks. But also, we might have what's called direct bill partnership, which means instead of you having to go to your employer and say, hey, I'm going to school, can you help pay for it? And they go, yeah, hey, we'll help pay for it. And then now you're stuck in the middle trying to collect all the paperwork and do all the stuff. Our student accounts team facilitates all that for you. So all you have to worry about is going to school. It's a pretty sweet deal, actually, if you think about it like that. And so what I recommend is whenever you are at a point and we are reviewing your financial aid award, which we would do every 4 terms to make sure everything's all set, we're going to ask you, hey, who do you work for? I want to look and see if we have a corporate partnership for you. This is a great relationship for you and your employer because your employer is investing in you. And it's a great relationship for me and you because now I get to help you maximize your financial aid package. Alrighty, so we will ask that question. And if you ever change a job, even if it's tomorrow, call in and ask, say, hey, do you have a partnership with so-and-so? We'll take a look and see. And I'm telling you, it's when I meet all different sectors, I'm talking fast food, nationwide retailers, small mom and pops, regional organizations, first responders organizations, small business groups. We have regional chambers of commerce together. So it's a variety of different areas, but we do have experts to have these conversations with you. So just call and ask. We will help you out with that. Now, sometimes, and this actually happened with me when I was with my nationwide retailer, is they have what's called tuition reimbursement. Now, tuition reimbursement is a little bit different than direct bill. So what direct bill is let's say I worked for Dave and I was going to Post University. Dave and our student accounts team would do everything. Dave would pay my student accounts team on my behalf because he said, hey, I really want to take care of Mary and invest in her education. I'm paying X amount of dollars towards her education. They do it all, right? Direct bill is a little different. Tuition reimbursement a little bit different. Tuition reimbursement is a relationship between you and your HR team and your employer. Okay, so it would be me as the student going to Dave saying, hey, I'm going to school. And Dave says, hey, great, here's the classes we cover. We have tuition reimbursement as long as these classes are within this degree path as it relates to your job. At least that's what a lot of employers do, but always double check with your HR team. Always double check. And you earn X amount of grades, we'll reimburse you. Get a bill, we'll help you out. And so that's actually what happened. That's what helped me take that first leap of faith with going back to school was I had a relationship with my employer where they said if you were in certain business tracks, we would reimburse each class X amount of dollars as long as you had a C+ or better. So I was really excited to get a C+ or better. My employer was really excited to invest in me, to invest in the organization and to have that professional development piece through my education. And I then said at the end of the term, hey, Dave, here's my grades. Here's my tuition bill. I would like to submit tuition reimbursement. And then he reimbursed me. If you have a tuition reimbursement program set up with your employer, our student accounts team can help facilitate that. We can do a couple different options. We can do the deferred cash plans, or we can even talk to your employer at that point and talk about a direct bill program. So we can definitely look into those options. Okay. We also have with different payment plans. Let's say you don't want to take out loans. Let's say you want to just pay out of pocket. Let's say you are near your aggregate loan limits and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to pay by cash. I don't want to accrue any more interest. We have interest-free payment plans. We have a variety of different options. We can do monthly plans. We can do bi-weekly plans. We can do weekly plans. I mean, I guess we can do daily plans. I think that might be a lot though, but we have options. We can talk about them. But that is something we're interested in. We can always look into that option for you and help build that plan as well. One of the biggest plans, options that most people tend to use is the Federal Student Aid Program, and this is through the FAFSA application, the free application for Federal Student Aid. Alrighty. This is an application through the U.S. Department of Education. We're going to talk a little bit more about which FAFSA application do I do, when, in a few minutes. And this is a combination. So when you submit your FAFSA, you are submitting for both your eligibility for loans and grants. And when that information comes to us, we look at your eligibility for both different types of fund sources. So the Pell Grant is the common grant that you will see that is based on the Student Aid Index number, which is contribution numbers and your information and mathematical formulas and eligibility. And then there's loans, which are two different types. There's what's called subsidized loans, where they do not accrue interest while you're in school. And then there's unsubsidized loans, which do accrue interest in school. And I say this because when we look at your eligibility, we are looking at all three pieces of eligibility. If you're eligible for Pell, and what does your Pell usage look like? All that jazz. If you are eligible for loans, what type of loan mix are you eligible for? And what is your loan usage? They both all have limits. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we do look at all that eligibility, and every 4 terms when we discuss your next financial aid offer, we do discuss where you are at your limits, just so you have an awareness so we can make the appropriate decisions together to really find what the financial aid package needs to be for you. The other option that we have are private loans. Skyline Financial Credit Union is one of the groups that we use. They're kind of like an Expedia for private loans. So you would put your information in and they will look over several different private loan groups. This is a great option for people that may be at their aggregate loan limits for federal student aid. Maybe they don't want to use federal student aid programs. Maybe they're not eligible in certain ways for the federal student aid program. Maybe they just want to really be in control of that private loan option. There's a variety of different ways. So we do have those options available. We can always talk about that as well. Alrighty. Cynthia, I see your question in the chat. I'm going to get to it in a few minutes on a different slide. Okay, I just want to know that I see you, but I'm going to save that question. So, like I said, most people ask about you opt to use federal student loans. It is a big hot topic in the country these past few years. It continues to be a hot topic. And I want to be very clear that you may actually have more loans in your financial aid offer than you need to cover the classes for your academic year. Okay. So when we look at your eligibility and when we start putting together your package, we look at what's called your maximum eligibility. What is your full eligibility with a max we can put together? So there's a couple different options that you can consider to really maximize those student loans that are available to you. You can consider attending full-time. If you are taking one class a term, that would be 2 classes a term. This lowers the possibility of running out of funding before you finish your degree because each term, the aid that you have available, you're maximizing it towards your tuition and fees and for your class, and you're getting 6 credits instead of 3 credits. You're completing your program faster, which means you start your career sooner, which means Dave and I get to lose our voice faster and more frequently for everyone that graduates. Again, source of pride. We're very happy for that. The other option that you have is reducing your federal student loans, which means you're borrowing less money in that moment, which means you have less to pay back in the future. Fewer loans accruing interest while you are completing your degree. Remember, there's 2 types of loans. There is the subsidized loan, which does not accrue interest while you're in school, and the unsubsidized loans. I recommend that you consider, if you're reducing your loans, look at reducing your unsubsidized loans, because that's going to reduce the one that accrues interest while you're in school. Okay, that leaves more funding available for you for the future as well. So the question you want to ask yourself is, do I need all this? Please see that question. I'm going to ask that question a few different times because I always want to make sure that all my students are taking a moment saying, is this right for me for right now? Okay. All right. So sometimes with federal student aid, we have a couple different steps we have to go through. So you fill out the FAFSA. Sweet. We get the FAFSA. Sweet. Now I get to look at the FAFSA. And sometimes in the FAFSA, there's different things that I might need to have additional clarification on. I might need proof of high school completion. There might be a question around that. There might be, hey, you said this or you said that. I'm a great example. My high school's name was one name. My high school has changed their names. So depending on what document I'm filling out, depends on what high school name it is. So sometimes I do have to present my high school diploma. There are moments when we have to do that. Sometimes you might have to present transcripts and other supporting statements with different documentation. Sometimes there might need to be what's called a review of income. You know, maybe life changed significantly. Like, hey, that's not what my life was anymore. Maybe there was a job loss. Maybe there was something else that happened, divorce in the family, something substantial. It's called a review of income and a professional judgment scenario. We can talk about that. And sometimes you might get selected for what's called verification. The U.S. Department of Education may request additional documents just to verify the information on your FAFSA application. This is a random sampling. It happens, it's a random sampling across all of the students that submit their FAFSAs to the U.S. Department of Education. It's not just a random sampling of post students. It is a random sampling of all FAFSA applicants. So I want to be very clear that it's a random sampling based on the people that have applied for the FAFSA, regardless of the school, state, or anything else like that. And sometimes any of these documents or requests could come at any time, and that's okay. We just take a moment and we say, hey, by the way, I just got notice that we just need to double check this. When you get a chance, can you just send this to me? My recommendation is and always will be, if we have to ever need to provide documents. So like, I don't know if you've ever had a situation where I have to do it for my insurance. Every so often I have to provide my kids' birth certificates just because I was randomly audited to say, hey, are these really your kids? Are we really insuring your kids? Yeah. Here they are, birth certificate. You want the picture of them? Here, there's a picture of them from like 2 months old. Don't send pictures, please. Just documents we ask for, please. I say it that way. But the whole point I'm saying this is it's an audit. It's just to verify everything is correct. When it happens, I strongly encourage you to act with a sense of urgency to get that information as soon as possible. The best lie I tell myself is I will remember. I'm going to say that again. The best lie I tell myself is I will remember. If I don't write it down somewhere, if I don't act on it, if I don't put a Post-it note somewhere or put it in my phone on a calendar somewhere, and I tell myself, hey, I'm going to remember that one random thing. You know what I'm not going to do? I'm going to get about 14 phone calls probably in the next month about that one random thing. So if you ever have a situation where we do ask for additional documents, Nicole, I'm not going to remember. I'm just not going to remember. I know I'm not going to remember. So if we ever have that moment, we will reach out to you as soon as possible and say, hey, let's start working on this now. And then we want to make sure we get that done as soon as possible, because I just want to make sure that we get it done. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to worry about your classes. I want you to worry about your discussion boards. I want you to worry about your assignments. I want you to worry about what shoes are you going to wear for graduation. By the way, the answer is always flats because they're stairs. Dave and I both know that. We wear flats or light heels or a nice chunky heel. But just keep that in mind. Alrighty. So Cynthia, this is where I did not forget your stuff. So sometimes there's a question about disbursements and stipends. So a disbursement is when, there we go, Dave. Dave won. He wears Nikes. We're done. And for those of you who don't know, we actually process in at the start of every each of our commencement ceremonies with a host of nations of flags, and Dave is the coordinator of all those flags, both military and country flags. It's very incredible, and it's a beautiful sight. And he is led by the Waterbury Fife and Drum Band from our Waterbury Police Department. So if you ever want to see like the really cool bagpipes, that's the jam, is the flag people.
Really cool.
It's really cool. Dave, isn't it on the website too? The opening to
It
graduation?
is. Yeah, it is. And a little plug here. If you guys come to our, which workshop is it? The student empowerment workshop, we show the video from graduation. So come on by and we'll show it to you.
Yeah. So Cynthia asked a really great question about how can I change my information for disbursements. So let's first start about what is a disbursement versus what is a stipend. So a disbursement, and you're going to see a whole bunch of emails, and you probably have a whole bunch of these emails on your account right now, is a disbursement is when we go to the U.S. Department of Education and say, hey, it is time to, we're requesting these funds to cover tuition for this term. And it started today. So probably a bunch of you got a bunch of emails. There might be some emails that you don't have. Cynthia, we want to refrain from putting personal information in the chat, so just as a heads up. But the element is there's going to be, depending on how many fund sources, types, so Pell and private loans and federal loans and other things like that, we put those on there when we request that information. Then you get a notice saying, hey, a disbursement has happened, and here's the Pell, and here's your unsubsidized loan, and here's your subsidized loan. And then there's the next one, which was called a stipend or credit balance. And that is what happens, which is this difference. So the payment part is what is the disbursement. So it's saying, hey, the federal loans, we requested them, we got them, they're here. Ooh, nope, jumping ahead. No, read ahead. Okay, we're good. All right. Those will first apply to the tuition, the fees, and if you had a laptop. Okay, so that's why you also have billing run 2 days ago, because we have to have billing in place to know what is being paid for. All righty. Once that's done, you might see a number. You might see a negative number, parentheses, or a negative number, or you might see a positive number. A positive number means a balance owed. So if you see, let's say, $64, let's say maybe you're going full-time and you have a certain loan eligibility of a laptop purchase and all that jazz, you might see $64. So that's okay. That's just the balance. It'll be covered by the next term. We'll look at that. We'll talk to you about it, and we'll have that conversation as a scenario. If you see a negative number, this means it's your stipend amount. This is going to come to you. We have only 14 days. Now notice I did not say 14 business days. I did not say 14 Mondays. I did not say 14 months. 14 days. Calendar days. From the day that this negative number from your federal student loans and your federal Pell Grant show up on your account and create that balance, that negative number, to have it scheduled and then transferred to BankMobile. Okay, so for the next 13 days, because we started today, our student accounts team is exceptionally busy getting everyone scheduled. Now, I want to highlight how large our campus is. We have I support about 12,000 students. As an example, Dave, I think our online campus is 16,000 students with just about 18,000 total across all 3 campuses.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so student accounts is a little busy right now. So they're looking to get everyone done. I promise you, I talk to student accounts every day, and I give them as best of encouragement because I get as far as possible and I pass it off to them and they take the baton. It really is a relay race for the two of us. And once you see that 0 on your student portal versus that negative amount, that means that in that next 24 hours, that information is transferred over to BankMobile, and you'll see it in your BankMobile account. Now, here's my asterisk. Now, BankMobile is a real bank. They actually follow real banking hours. So if we schedule it on a Sunday, obviously they are not going to get it on a Sunday because they're a real bank. But we schedule it Sunday, they will get it Monday. So that's where they run banking hours. But we have 14 calendar days to make sure everything's moved over. So it's a very, very short time frame to get a whole lot of stuff done. So we are right now in that hot spot right now, working to get everyone all set and making sure everything's accurate for each of you. So to Cynthia's question now, how do you change your information? So there's two places. One is the student portal. You want to do a change of information form on the student portal. Any student success advisor or financial aid advisor is able to help you. So you can just give us a call right at the main line. If you are unable to find it in the student portal, I just dropped that phone number in the chat. Anyone can help you with that. It is super easy to do. It's a form that you fill out online, very much like you will see actually when you do get to graduate, you do your graduation registration. You're going to fill out that form with the change of information. Depending on the change of information you're having, there might be additional documents you might need to provide, maybe a copy of a driver's license or elements like that. All that information is available for you there. Alrighty. You will then want to next log into your BankMobile account. Okay. And I strongly recommend, back to the conversation of the best lie I tell myself I will remember, is do it all at the same time. Because you're going to think you did it all in both spots. And then if you get stopped halfway through, you're not going to do it in both spots. So do your student portal first, make sure Post University is updated, then go log into BankMobile and you can submit everything through BankMobile. If you happen to live in an apartment complex or a condo complex or something like that, please make sure you are consistent with the apartment part of your address. I say that because that can get a little squirrely depending on where you live and what the U.S. Postal Service acknowledges as the actual full address. So if it's like, if you like to write APT everywhere. If you just like to do the number sign in the apartment number, like number sign 334, do number sign 334. Just be consistent in both parts so they're consistent. Don't just throw the number at the end of like 123 Main Street, 123. Does that make sense to everyone? I hope it does. I think I see head nods happening in a sea of blank screens. But that's, Cynthia, did I answer your question as to one, where to go, and two, the steps necessary? All right, thanks, Julie. All right, cool. So that would be my recommendation there. And whenever you have a change of information, just pop it in there. It's really important that you stay up on that. It's really important that you stay attentive to the change of information because there's other forms that we might have to send later that that you would need to do that. So there's forms that's like, say, the 1098T when it comes closer to tax time, if you're eligible for a 1098T. We want to make sure all that information is correct. Sky, when would you need to fill out what? A change of information form? If you move, if your name changes, if your phone number changes, your email changes, just whenever your personal contact information changes. If you're like me and really boring and you don't move, try not to change, you don't change your name, probably still using the same email address since a lot of years ago. You have nothing to worry about. A great question, Sky, about the change of information form regarding license. It depends on what you're changing. The form will guide you if you need supporting documents, or the registrar's office will reach out to you for that. Good questions. So let's talk about maintaining eligibility. Remember I said there's some like rules. It's kind of like, you know, when you're going down the road, you just can't do 80 down like the middle of Main Street. Or better yet, don't do 80 down the middle of Main Street. Let me start with that sentence. Okay. Same thing happens if you're using federal financial aid. So there's a couple different things. One is called SAP. Okay. It sounds as sticky as you think it is on a tree, but it's not. It's called satisfactory academic progress. And I'm going to be very frank with you right now. If that all you take away from that is that there could be a GPA issue or what's called a pacing issue, That's great. That's all I want you to walk away from. But what SAP is to ensure that people are progressing forward in their degree path and are being successful. It is actually to help protect you. Okay. You have to, at each level, freshman, sophomore, junior, and I'm going to defer to Dave, who's going to correct me if I start going a little squirrely here on my definitions. Okay, Dave? You got me?
You're holding me to a lofty standard here. I
I
gotta be
am here.
careful.
I know, but you're going to pull me back if I get weird. There are thresholds for GPA. Look, we know freshmen, there's a lot less classes that you have taken, so if you do not so great in one class, it's very easy to lower your GPA. So there are different thresholds for GPA to maintain eligibility. Okay? Yeah, I'm trying here, Sky. I'm trying here. All right. And it goes up. Your student success advisor has all this information. They are the experts on this conversation. They will help guide you through it. The big thing is, as long as you are not on what's called academic warning, you have not gotten what's called a SAP warning letter, satisfactory academic progress warning letter, saying, hey, what's going on? I'm worried about you. Your GPA is really low. You're fine. Let me start with that sentence. If you haven't heard any of these words, you're fine. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes we just have a really bad term. Sometimes that English class just doesn't connect. Sometimes that math class just doesn't connect. Sometimes that whatever class just doesn't connect. Sometimes something's happening outside of life, so you try to stay engaged in class and you're just like, I'm trying my best, but it's just not working. Okay. It happens. That's why the conversation with your student success advisor is so important here. Okay. And the other thing is called PACE. It's how many classes you are attempting to take versus how many classes you've been successful in. So let's say you attempt to take basket weaving 7 times and you're only successful in basket weaving once. That means you have a really low pace. It means it's taking you 7 times to pass the class once. So they look at both pace, how many times it takes you to successfully pass classes, as well as GPA of what is your grade in the class, to make sure that you are on track to be successful. Because we want you to be successful. Remember, the whole goal that we all have for you is to watch you grow and thrive and enjoy your educational journey. So it's kind of like guidelines to keep you to make sure you're good. And like I said, sometimes life happens and sometimes you get what's put on academic warning. Academic warning is a very set period of time. Dave, 2 terms? 2 terms. 2 terms. Just to bring things together. You will have an advisor that will have a conversation with you, help guide you, really look at what your pacing looks like, what your class schedule looks like, help guide you. And sometimes it's tough and sometimes it's really good. Look, we've all been there. It's life. There's ups and downs. If for some reason you get what's called academically dismissed, there are options that may be available to you, and we could talk about appeals, we could talk about pacing, but during that time, we want to always make sure that we are maintaining what's called PACE and our GPA standards. On the student portal, there is an option that you can always look at your GPA, and you can look at your enrollment GPA. And yeah, it's something that I just want to bring to your attention. So if you ever do end up there, and look, it can happen to the best people, it can happen to the best intentioned people, it can happen to the people that are just trying to hold it together. Look, life happens. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I just want you to be aware of it. And it's one of those conversations where you want to talk with not only your student success advisor, but talk with your financial aid advisor, have honest conversations to set you up for success. Okay. If you take time off or if you withdraw, you may affect your financial aid eligibility and your degree progress, because the more times you step out of class, the longer it's going to take you to be successful and finish, right? To complete a associate's degree, it's a little over 18 months, right? If you step out every other term, it's no longer fast. It's now actually longer than a traditional 2-year community college associate's degrees. All of a sudden, you have just taken what could be an accelerated degree path, get done, hit the ground running, and you're taking it much longer. So just keep that in mind, right? So every time you step out, you could affect it. If you have to retake a failing class, that will lengthen the time. You'll also be using money on classes that you earned an F on. Alrighty. And then the last thing is that I really want you to be aware of earning what's called a UF. It's an unearned F. It's where you stop participating in the class before you hit certain points of the term, where you then would have to take either 2 classes the next term, or we may have to look at and do a really fancy calculation to see what were you fully eligible for. Did you sit in your class long enough to earn the aid that dispersed on your account? And I want to make sure that you're aware of this, because sometimes these moments come up and we will help guide you, saying, hey, if you do this, could be the ramification. Hey, if you do this could be the ramification. So at any point you're looking to step out of class, just call us. It's not scary. We're just going to talk through options with you. I promise. We try to make it not scary. We try to make it really simple for you. Okay. The other thing with federal student aid is that while you're in school, you're what's called an in-school status or in-school deferment with your student loans. So that means you're not in a repayment. You are not having to pay back potentially. This with direct unsubsidized loans and direct plus loans, you are accruing interest while you're in school, but you don't have to be in what's called active repayment, where you have to make payments back on the loans. Direct unsubsidized loans do not accrue interest at this time. Your offer letter in your student portal will tell you what your loan mix looks like. So if you do have questions on that, you can always pop into your student portal, or if you can't find it in the student portal, or if you want to talk to someone further, just call us. Again, the 800 number I just dropped in the chat is the Post University's online division main line. Give us a call. We'll help you through it. But it's a really important thing to note, because the other thing is when you do step out of school, you go into a couple of different periods. That's called grace. If you opt to withdraw from school, you may be in a period of time where you don't have to start repayment, but you definitely want to review that with your loan servicer. The other thing I'm going to mention, and I'm going to bring this back on over here, is Post University is really committed to your financial literacy. And we partnered with an organization called Ion Tuition. They are a free student loan management company that we work with, and you are welcome to set up an account with. And they are there to help you manage and understand your federal loans, your loan repayment options. What does that look like? I always recommend for people, you want to gather this information and start looking at everything while life is quiet. You know, you're in school right now. This part of your student life is quiet. Look at it now. Sign up for it now. Take a look. Get access to it. You can create your account right here. It's right on our website. Again, it's right under financial literacy and responsible borrowing. And if you have any problems or if you need help, this email right here, Darren Suska will be able to help you with that. But I recommend that you sign up for it, because it helps you understand what those steps look like. If you ever have to drop below halftime, that starts triggering that grace period clock as well. And the clock can be different depending on what your history and your loan borrowing history looks like. So depending on the loan mix that you have, it could be different. Again, your loan servicer is the person that has all that information as well. And you can actually find more information. Again, we're going to go back here on studentaid.gov. On your dashboard, you can actually see what your loan servicer is and all the information. So this is a link. It's right on studentaid.gov. You can find it super easy. It's Repaying Loans 101. It's all the different options out there. Finding your loan balance. What are the different repayment plans, different options? How does that look? It just kind of helps you think about what it looks like. So again, you can make that responsible borrowing. Maybe this is the time where I should step up and take those 2 classes, really maximize that student aid and make the decision of, I think this is where I need to put it, or maybe I need to lower those loans. Maybe I need to just cover the cost of tuition, not worry about having that stipend right now, because I want to save that money for later, and I'm not accruing interest on that money. Alrighty. The other thing is we want to talk about your 25-26 FAFSA. Now, we are in a very interesting time of the year. I get to talk about the years 26 and 27, 2026 and 2027. And you're like, Miss Mary, I don't understand. It's October 2025. Why are you talking about 2027? Because higher ed. That's my answer. And I say that because we look forward. We want to have stuff prepared and ahead of time. So when you are on studentaid.gov, up here on the very top, there's FAFSA form, and you want to click on completing the FAFSA form. Alrighty. If you have not completed your 2025-2026 FAFSA, that's okay. Please do that. I would really like to receive it so we can look at your funding. But you can also start your 26-27. This is forms that we will start using as we get into the springtime next year, looking at that eligibility. So it really can't hurt to do either one. I strongly recommend that you get all of this done as soon as possible for this information. But if you need the 25-26 form, it's down here. Notice how they put it a little bit lower. But they do the 26-27 form up top. A very common order of operations, I want to say, just the order in which people do it, is, and I've done it, I want to be very clear, I have very much done it. Again, I am in higher ed, I work in financial aid. I cannot tell you how many FAFSA years I've done this, where I've clicked in the year we're looking forward to. So for instance, I would click on the 26-27 FAFSA year, get really excited, fill it all out, and then realize I need to go to the 25-26 year. So if you haven't done that before, or you made that mistake, or you thought you did it, maybe you didn't, it's a very common situation. Just double check. Happens all the time. So that's my disclosure for you. Lastly, thanks, Nicole. I want to touch on a little bit of what Nicole was sharing, really, again, about scholarships. Scholarships are a great way to help kind of cover that gap and decrease the loans that you use. Scholarships can not only help students have time to really focus, but it's a resume boost. Yeah, like when you get a scholarship, you won something. You beat out other people to get something. Brag about that. Share that good news. It's a resume boost. It's an experience boost. It talks about a couple of different things. Now I'm going to totally put my professor hat on for you and my interviewer hat on for you. It talks about resilience. It talks about persistence. It talks about thoroughly researching stuff. It talks about detailedness. It talks about professional communication. Yes, Nicole, you clearly read ahead. Sneaky. I love it. But talk about community foundations. So when you locate scholarships, obviously Scholarships 365 is a great start. But there are other options out there as well. Community foundations are a great one. Credit unions and banking institutions. I am in Connecticut. It's a really rainy October night here in Connecticut. That's okay, Nicole. You can read that. It's fine. This is it's super rainy. And from my house in about 5 minutes, there is a Bank of America, there's a Webster Bank, there is an Ion Bank, there is an M&T Bank, there's Thomaston Bank, 5 different banks that I can think of off the top of my head. Each one of them actually have a scholarship program. If you have ever seen signs for the Rotary Club, the Elks Club, the VFW Lodge, the Hungarian Foundation, things like that, definitely take a look at that. Those are community organizations of different kinds. They also have scholarship programs. A lot of lawyers, a lot of community-based service organizations, real estate agencies, they tend to also do scholarships as well. A fun little tip that I have, call your local high school and ask them for a list of scholarships, or if they have a website that they can send you. Don't forget, the local high schools also do this for their high school students. Well, guess what? It's all for college students. So give them a call. Federal and state agencies have different programs. So for instance, in Connecticut, the Office of Early Childhood Education has different programs available. Each state is specific to that. Be careful with states though. You want to read that because the states have really specific requirements for like in-state versus out-of-state and things like that. That's my only asterisk for you on that one. Places of employment. Car dealerships, believe it or not, large box retailers, small box retailers, sometimes those long-standing organizations in the community. For instance, we have a lighting shop that has been in our town for 120 years, actually has a community scholarship program as part of a wishing well program that we have here in my downtown. That is a community organization as well as a place of employment that has scholarships out there. And here's the deal. I want to be really clear. Scholarships can be a range of money from $100 to $10,000, and we've seen recipients from all sides. It can't hurt. You're only going to get told no if you never try. That's your only guaranteed no. So if you haven't had a chance, literally sit down one night, get your favorite beverage. So if you are a coffee drinker like I am, get your favorite coffee. If you're a Diet Coke drinker like my husband, sit down with a 2-liter thing of Diet Coke, whatever makes you happy, your cup of tea, your matcha, your hot chocolate, whatever it is, and just sit down and spend a night. The key is you want to make sure that you have a essay that you are going to be able to be specific enough, but still neutral enough that you can morph it as the different essays may require. It may ask for GPA requirements. It may ask for letter of references. Connect with our scholarships team. They will help facilitate a lot of that contact for you as well. So it's really important. Your financial aid advisor or your student success advisor can make those connections for you to the scholarships team, but absolutely check that out. I strongly encourage it. Like I said, it's not only a way to help fund your education, but it's a source of pride, and you get to share that. You get to say, look what I did, look what I won, look at what I've earned.